Hey there Blue Mages, Liam here, and welcome to the Blue Academy raid guide for the Binding Coil of Bahamut turn 5, or T5 for short. This is one of the easier fights in the Morbol Raid series, but things can still go wrong if we're not careful. The fight opens up with the tank pulling Twintania. Note that she does have a massive aggro radius, so you will not be able to get any cast off before she aggros. The 3 adds that spawn with her are vulnerable to death effects, so assign one person to cast level 5 death to make quick work of these. If any of these happen to resist death, don't panic, just missile them down. Throughout the entire fight, whenever Twintania is targetable, she will use the abilities Death Sentence and Plummet at somewhat random times. Death Sentence is a tank buster that must be mitigated with Diamondback, and Plummet is a frontal cleave that doesn't hit too hard, but can happen at almost the exact same time as auto attacks. An auto attack, Plummet, auto attack combo will kill a blue tank, so healers will have to watch the tank carefully. Mitigation spells such as Bad Breath can come in handy here. Twintania's first phase lasts until 85% health. This phase only lasts a few seconds, and she doesn't use any abilities beyond Death Sentence or Plummet. At 85%, she will drop a Neurolink. Neurolinks are circles on the ground that greatly reduce damage dealt and received, and will be helpful to us later. Once she transitions, move her so that the next Neurolink she drops is not on top of the first one. Twintania's second phase lasts until 55% health, and she adds 2 new abilities to her arsenal, Fireball and Conflagration. Fireball will target a random player, and after a few seconds shoot a fireball that deals about 12,000 damage, split between all targets hit. To survive this, we need at least 3 players to soak the fireball. For each player hit, Twintania gains a stack of Waxing Flesh which affects the coming Conflag. Conflag will target a random player, which a few seconds later spawns a fire sacrament under them and makes them untargetable. While inside the Conflag, the targeted player will take periodic damage. Any players that happen to touch the Conflag will also get trapped inside. After some time, the Conflag will explode, dealing heavy raid-wide damage. This can be avoided by just killing the Conflag, which is vulnerable to death effects such as Missile. The amount of time that it takes for a Conflag to explode is reduced by the number of Waxing Flesh stacks that Twintania has, so when soaking fireballs we don't want too many people to get hit, or the Conflag will explode too quickly. We can handle this by dropping the Conflag right underneath the boss and using AoE damage to focus the Conflag down. At 55%, Twintania drops another Neurolink on the ground and flies into the air, signaling the transition into the Divebomb phase. This is the first time we'll be seeing Divebombs, which are a mechanic we will encounter in each one of the Bahamut fights relevant to us. The way it works is Twintania will target a random player, signal by a green marker above their head, and then Divebomb towards them. When the marker disappears, Twintania draws a straight line through the arena, dealing moderate damage and knocking enemies backwards. If you get hit, it is very likely you will get knocked into the death wall and die. Luckily, there is a very cheesy way for us to handle this. In the northwest corner of the arena, there is a small ridge that will act as a safe spot of sorts. If we group up here and move forward a bit before each dive bomb, no one will get hit. So we group up, wait for the marker to appear, take a step forward, and then return to our starting spot. It takes a tiny bit of practice, but if everyone gets to the safe spot quickly during the phase transition, you should not be losing anyone to dive bombs. If someone happens to get hit and gets knocked out into the middle of the arena, it is safest if they do not return to the group until the following dive bomb. If they get targeted by a dive bomb, they can survive by using Diamondback. Twintania does 3 dive bombs here and then spawns adds. These adds are vulnerable to death effects, so use level 5 death or quickly missile them down. We dance around for about 30 seconds and then another set of dive bombs will start. We handle this exactly the same way as before. After this set of dive bombs, another set of adds will spawn directly across the arena from where we are, which we can then handle with death and missile just as before. After they are dead, we stand in the Neurolinks and have another break while waiting for the transition into the next phase. Twintania will land and after a small delay use Aetheric Profusion, which will kill anyone not in a Neurolink. To handle this, have the tank in one Neurolink and the party in the other Neurolink to prevent the party getting hit by Plummet shortly after the Aetheric Profusion cast. After she casts Aetheric Profusion, step off the Neurolink. The 2 mechanics we need to worry about here are Twister and Dread Knights. Twister is a notoriously tricky mechanic. Twister will target 3 random players and at the end of the cast leave a small green twister underneath them. Anyone caught in a twister will die immediately and also cause massive knockback to any nearby players. To avoid this, when she casts Twister, all players need to be moving, and there's no indicator of who is actually being targeted, and then during the cast, take care to ensure they do not cross paths with other players. Twisters will remain on the ground for a few seconds and then will disappear. If you've completed Eden's vs. Fulmination Savage, or E5S, this is very similar to the Step Leader mechanic. Dread Knights spawn in the center of the room and then pick a random player as their target. This player is stunned and cannot move, and the Dread Knight starts walking towards them. If the Dread Knight reaches the player, they will die, and then a new target is chosen. Dread Knights can be slowed with heavy effects like Reflux, but we can also just kill them very quickly by spamming Missile. To handle Dread Knights, simply stay out of the center of the arena and spam Missile once they appear. The final phase starts at 30%. She will no longer cast Twisters or spawn Dread Knights, but she does gain the ability to cast Hatch and Liquid Hell. Hatch will create an orb directly underneath her. A player will then have purple circles appear around their character, and the orb will start flying towards them. On impact, the orb will instantly kill the player unless they are standing in a Neurolink or in Diamondback. If you are targeted by the orb, try to stand in a Neurolink, otherwise, stay the heck away from the orb. We can also handle this mechanic the Blue Mage way by just having the tank eat every single orb while using Diamondback. If the tank positions themselves directly underneath Twintania, and has themselves slightly closer to the party than Twintania, they are able to eat every single orb with no problem. The other mechanic in this phase is Liquid Hell. She will target a random player and cast Liquid Hell 5 times, which leaves behind a fiery puddle. The person targeted should run around the perimeter of the arena to drop the puddles away from the rest of the group. There is no real indicator as to who is being targeted, so you just need to look at who she is currently targeting and where she faces when she starts casting. This phase is usually quite short, as the percentage at which you can safely sting her is around 25%. At this point, we want to fish for a physical Libra and put up off guard. DPS should then whistle and Moonflute, use any primals they have, and use Final Sting on the boss. If healers are comfortable, they can also use this Final Sting combo to help get out some extra damage, but I don't recommend doing that unless the tank is in Diamondback. If we make it to this final phase with everyone alive, and with minimal panic, it should be an easy clear. This fight is rather chaotic and requires a level head, so just try your best to keep calm and you should be stinging this dragon in no time. If you liked this video, feel free to check out these other ones. While you're at it, sting that subscribe button, share your bad breath in the comments, and stay tuned for more Blue Mage content.